Hey, it's me, PK King, and oh my gosh, thank you for all the support on last episode. Like, wow, I did not expect to get that many comments and all that support, but like, it really means the world, and wow, I'm so excited to get this adventure going. Like, yes! I got tons of comments about moveset potential, design changes, and general Rivals of Aether info, so if you're confused, you might want to check out that first part, because I'm not going to go over everything all over again. Okay, let's get into it. Episode 2, Origin and Gimmick. Well, let's start off where we left off. This thing. It was a pretty good base, but I knew some stuff had to change from the get-go. Okay, number 1, this design is way too busy. I had to simplify some stuff, especially when it comes to spriting. I'm not trying to sprite all this little stuff, like that's not gonna happen. My friend suggested that I made it more chipmunky and less human-y, so I kinda went with that. I took away some of the jacket elements, but I kept the drawstrings and the hood and stuff like that for reasons I'll explain later. I kept that white strip on the hood to keep that headphone look, and that's basically the main elements that I switched around. Number 2, the tails and cheeks had to grow. Okay, they are the most important part of the character and they have to stand out. Tales of Tim suggested the tail can get fluffier and a little spikier, and that worked pretty well with Sly Dio suggestion. Sly suggested to have the tail build static charge over time, kind of like Toby Kadachi from Monster Hunter. This means I had to lower some of the less important elements like the back stripes. And number 3, I made them quadruped. The idol might have them stand up, but while they're running around and ducking in most of their moves, I want them to be on all fours just because I think that's cool and a little bit more on the unique side and is more chipmunky and leads to some unique moveset potential. Some unique move potential is awoken while you're on all fours. Let's move on. And there we have it. Smaller, curled up, bigger cheeks, bigger tail, more chipmunk stuff. And they also look a bit more masculine than the last one. I don't know, the last one looked a bit more feminine to me. So I guess girl to boy. I guess he's trans. That's how it works. He's trans now. I think this is genuinely what we're going to go with, but if you still have any more recommendations, please let me know, okay? I even thought of a little bit of a story for him, so hear me out. He's a professional spy from the Metal Earth colony. They're a subgroup from the Earth element that specializes in metalwork, and they often work with the fire element for stuff like welding. Because they're a rather new subset, their items are valuable, and they work closely with the fire element that they don't really trust too much, they hired a spy. Yeah, I'm talking about him, he's a spy. He's right there. You know, the magnetic field protects the Earth from the hot sun, so him protecting his people from the fire colony, that's not too far-fetched. Like, come on. Anyway, because he's not too mobile, he mastered the art of magnetism. Originally, it was only used to safely and discreetly retrieve items and disrupt signals, but over time, he learned to change his own magnetic pulse in his tail. He's also equipped with some metal acorns that he keeps in his cheek. He uses them to push and pull himself around places and go all speedy fast. He can hit something with his tail, and the tail bristles will attach to that item and give it the static charge that his tail currently had. This leads to the gimmick. Acorns. He stores metal acorns in his cheeks, which he spits out with side B in the manner of like abscess clouds. We'll work on that kind of stuff when we get there. When the buttons let go, the acorn will be placed in the air. Normally this won't do too much. It can be destroyed in one hit with a max of 3 acorns on the field at a time. But this gets interesting when you add in the neutral B, static switch. It's a very quick move that lets you give your tail a positive or a negative charge. Tap it to cycle through and hold it to become neutral again. The damage works kind of like Mewtwo's Nair, but it's fast unless you're holding it. Hitting anything with this move will also change its static charge. That includes your opponent. If you use side B with a positive or negative charge on your tail, the acorns will retain that charge. When a positive or negative acorn is placed, a magnetic field will appear around them and do exactly what you think. Anything with the same charge will be repelled when entering, and anything with the opposite charge will be brought towards it, a la Mario Galaxy. And if you actually manage to hit the acorn, it'll neutralize it, and then one more hit, it's gone. That was a lot of information and it probably doesn't make any sense, so let me try to give you some examples. Side B to throw out an acorn, jump in front of it, and neutral B. You'll both turn positive and it'll propel you forward. Neutral B to become positive, side B angle it up to make the acorn positive. Neutral B again to become negative, jump in it, fly up, and at the top of the field you can double jump again. Basically a recovery, and I haven't even gotten to the up B. Now with that being said, his jump will be very low just to make you want to use the acorns more. And if you really don't like the acorns, then down B will explode the first acorn you place. If the enemy's caught in the explosion, it will switch their charge to the one of the explosion. If you press down B with no acorns out, then you'll lose your charge, and if you press down B when you don't have a charge and there's no acorns out, then Nothing happens. What are you doing? Okay, so let's get to the actual up B. It's kind of a tether of sorts. Think Joker. The aglets on his hoodie each carry a positive and negative charge respectively. He shoots out his drawstrings on his hoodie to the nearest acorn. It makes the acorn the opposite charge of the charge you have, then brings you to it. You can cancel it and fling yourself even higher. You can change your charge with neutral B while you're going at it and bounce off, and if you have no charge, it will turn off the charge of the acorn. If you have no acorns out, maybe the up B can still bring you to the stage or something. Or maybe it shouldn't, I don't know. How are we gonna balance this, guys? I guess we'll figure that out. Okay, that's the gimmick, acorns. I kinda wanna give you more examples of how it could work though. Doing this, I'd also imagine you'd build momentum as you kept going. Maybe not infinitely, cause wow, but that could be a good way to charge up kind of and then launch yourself in any direction. This might have some issues with stalling off stage and things like that, so there could be a timer on it, or maybe if you just go so fast you just kinda fly out. I don't know, we'll figure it out. At any point you can also use neutral B to bounce yourself out of that too, so that even launches you even further. And if you do push yourself in the air, you can down B and hold it and explode both of them and probably most likely turn your opponent positive. So once they have that charge, they have it for a bit and you can mess around with them and mess up their gravitational, magnetic everything. By the way, if I kind of mixed up any terms or said anything wrong that you as a magnetic major think don't make any sense, please correct me. I don't really know what I'm talking about. If this isn't how magnets work, if static isn't the right word, if this and that, if shit don't make sense, call me out on it. Okay, I got tough skin, shit made of rocks, okay, I can take it. Let me know. For his neutral air, he spits up a nut, kind of like We Fit side B. By itself, it doesn't really do too much. Yeah, it's a projectile, yeah, it falls down. But the real interesting is just like We Fit side B, the little yoga ball, you can hit the nut. Hitting the nut will just hit the nut and it'll fly and it'll hit into your opponent. It does exactly what you think it would do. But if you hit the nut with your tail, a move that uses its tail, it will gain the static charge that you currently have. If you're positive, you hit the nut with your tail, the nut is positive and it will be affected by the gravity and the momentum, and as it gains momentum, it will gain power because it's going so fast, and if it strikes your opponent going that fast, boom, that's a lot of damage. The difference from the nut and the acorn is the nut is more like an actual projectile. It will go, it will hit people, and that's it. The acorn will stop in the air and make the magnetic field. My only way for justifying this is the acorn is literally made of metal. It's not a real acorn, it's just a metal thing that looks like an acorn, and it has the scientific properties to make that circle. The nut is just a nut that puts some fibers on it, and that's it. It's just a normal ass nut. Hey, it's Future Me. So originally I wasn't gonna go crazy in depth on all the moves, or at least like some of the moves, but since I've originally recorded this, I have made some adjustments to his aerials and to his tilts that I'm going to explain now as Future Jepsen, because before they were different and now they're this, so here's the update. His neutral air hasn't changed. He spits the nut upwards, that's about it. Then obviously all the other moves will work in tandem to be able to hit that nut in as many different directions as possible, still keeping in mind that I want some of the moves to be hit with the tail and some of the moves to be hit without the tail. Any moves that you hit the nut with the tail, the nut will gain that static charge. So if your tail's positive, you hit the nut with your tail, now the nut is positive and it will interact with the acorns accordingly. His forward air is a sweeping kind of move. Think of Terry's back special, but as a forward air. He kind of somersaults forward, it's like really arcing his tail and moves through the opponent. This will kind of bring you a bit forward, so if you're just out of some magnetic field, you can jump in it real quick. It's not a very hard hitting move, it's not going to kill, it's just a soft kind of move. It'll go through your opponent, like switch up their static, switch up the acorn, it'll kind of toss the acorn, but it won't do much knockback to your opponent, it'll just do a lot of damage. His back air is basically Ivy's back air. It's a bit stronger. I mean, Ivy's back air is pretty strong. It's a bit stronger, but instead of using vines, because obviously he doesn't have vines, he uses his drawstrings for his hood. This wouldn't switch the static charge or anything like that. It would just be a pretty powerful move. Being pretty powerful, it would have a lot of startup as he needs to turn all the way around and hit. It is a 2-hit, so yeah, big strong move, wide hitbox. Pretty good. I made the move like that because you can't really hit the nut forward without using forward air and giving it a charge, and if you didn't want to give it a charge, you can turn around and hit it with a back air instead. His up air, he turns his tail into kind of like a needle and spikes it upwards. You can angle this a bit, and you can use it to perfectly hit the nut where you want to hit it. So you neutral B, then you up air and hit it upwards, because up air, that's what it does. There could be a little sweet spot at the tip of it, and this would be a pretty fast move. I don't think it's super kill besides the sweet spot, but yeah, mainly for hitting the nut up and electrifying it. His down air, I don't know the best way to explain this. Think duck hunt. That's kind of where I'm going. He kicks once with his legs and then kind of stabs down with his claws. The first hit of his feet just combo the opponent up to your hands. The first hit of the hands, you stab down, and if you hit on the tip of it, it's a spike. If you don't hit on the tip and you hit somewhere on the arm or on the body, the animation continues and he scoops you up. This is kind of trying to mimic squirrels and chipmunks digging, how they kind of dive down into the dirt. They dive down into you, and if that's it, that's it. But they will also scoop up and hit you upward. So it's a down air that is just kind of a front flip that scoops you up all the way. Or if not, you can perfectly space it and just spike them. This is the best way for you to hit the nut upwards or down, depending on which one you want to do. You don't really need to be able to hit it upwards because you have neutral airs spitting it up, but if you want to hit it even higher, then you can do that. I hope that makes sense because it's a little it's a little lot. Now onto the ground, his jab, he gets on his tail like this and just 2 kicks, and then probably just a third kick with both feet, but most of the time in rivals you cancel your jab anyway, so the third hit doesn't really matter. For his crouch, he lays on the floor like a secret agent crawling through the vents because he's already kind of low to the ground anyway, so this is the lowest he can get. But notice that his tail kind of just flattens out. People could still hit the tail, so be careful. This does greatly enlarge your hurt box. His down tilt, he rolls on the ground, just a cute little roll. If your nut is on the floor, if your nut is on the floor, doing this will kind of pop it up a little bit so you can hit it with another move like side tilt. This is a little kick that is, it's not really about the kick, it's more about the tail because the tail is the bigger hitbox. This can be angled 3 ways, like up, middle, down, and it's really used to hit the nut in different directions. So you neutral air and then you fall down and then you kick and hit the nut whatever way you want. This is obviously going to give it the charge. And you can do it obviously backwards because side tilt is side tilt, there's no back tilt. And then lastly, up tilt, he gets on his tail again as a headbutt instead this time. So if you want to keep the nut in the air, send the nut up really high without switching its charge, because remember up air would change its charge, then you could do up tilt. So I hope you kind of see how I try to make it so in every direction you can hit the nut, but you could choose to hit it with your tail and switch its static charge, or you can choose to hit it without the tail. That is the main thing I wanted with the aerials and with the tilts. Okay, back to old me. That's also kind of why I made his neutral B function like a nair, because his nair is kind of unconventional. So if you wanted just a more normal nair, you could use his neutral B as a nair. Obviously it would still switch your charge, but it's an option. Let me know if you want to change that. I wanted to keep all the nut stuff on the special moves, so something like switching your static charge I wanted to keep as a special move. I knew that if it was the neutral air and you were using that, you'd accidentally switch up your charge a lot. That'd get annoying, so that's why I made the flip. But let me know where you think what should be. Do you think the nut should be neutral B, or do you think static switch should be neutral B? That's what I'm calling it, static switch. Does that even make sense? The only thing is I do want to kind of put in more ground moves, you know, because I am classifying this under like the earth, like grassy element, but he doesn't really do much like that, you know. So I was thinking maybe his smash attacks could like throw dirt or dust up in the air, and if you hit your opponents with them, they lose their charge. So it can be really strong attacks, but then they won't have the magnetic charge anymore, which could be good because if you send them English is hard. If you send them far off stage and then your magnetic thing bounces them back on stage, or it hovers them in place so they don't die, that can be kind of lame. So maybe having your smash attacks to like rely on could be pretty good, or maybe that's not good and maybe that's broken. I don't know, y'all let me know. We could also throw in some electric attacks. I don't really want to because I don't want this to seem like an electric or fire dude, but I mean a couple little sparks, that it can't hurt too bad, right? He needs a name. I got a couple suggestions of names, but none of them were really vibing with me too much, and I did switch up the design, so I don't know. I thought of a couple of my own names. You guys let me know what you think. I'll explain them in a second, and I'll even put a poll. Tell me which one you like the most, and if you have your own idea, comment down below. So the first name is Lodent. Lode comes from lodestone, which is one of the strongest natural occurring magnets, and dent from rodent, because you know rodent, that's the type of animal he is, kind of. It also kind of sounds like a load, which to me sounds pretty cool. So Lodent is the first option. The second one is Timaeus. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I am, because Timaeus sounds dope. It's from the start of the scientific name of the long-eared chipmunk, and this chipmunk obviously has some very long ears, so I thought that fit. Might be a little too on the nose, but I thought it sounded like a cool name. The third one is Tesla, from the word Tesla, not the car. Tesla is a unit of measurement in magnetic fields, so I thought that that'd be kind of cool, and then changing it to a Z, like Tesla, like kind of reminds me of taser and just electricity in general. But also the video I saw had this lady and she pronounced it like Tesla, and I realized, wait, that sounds dope.
We measure magnetic fields using a unit called the Tesla, which is 1 Newton per ampere meter, and 1 Tesla is a very strong magnetic field.
So Tesla. Tesla can also be shortened to just Taz, just to make it easier, but yeah, that's Tesla. And then the last one is Flux, you know, like flux, electricity, flowingness, you know, that cool kind of thing. I thought it worked pretty well with the whole spy theming, because, you know, moving through things discreetly. I'm in Flux, like magnetism, Flux, I don't know, Google it, I'm not gonna describe it, but yeah, those are the names. Lodent, Timaeus, Taz or Tesla, and Flux. So up to the right or to the my left, you're right up here. There's the poll. Please vote which one you like, just real quick, even if you hate all of them. If one of them is a little more intriguing than the other one, just let me know. And if you have your own god tier name that you developed and haven't told me yet, then tell me now, because forever hold your peace by the next episode. Usually with my characters, I like to make the names that I don't like as much, like the last names, you know. So like if Lodent wins, I might make Timaeus his last name, Lodent Timaeus. The last names don't really matter in rivals, but I like characters having last names, so there you go. Okay, I think that's pretty good for today. I'm happy with the design, and we'll work on the sprite in the next episode, and I guess the final design in the next episode if you have anything to change. Right now it's still kind of in the ballpark, but I don't want to change much, but by next episode nothing's gonna change. So next episode I'll probably go more into detail with the moveset, and I'll be putting the special moves into action, not fully obviously, but I kind of want to play around and make sure these kind of options are possible. If you have any idea of how I might go about to start doing these kind of things, you have experience modeling I'm in the wrong genre. I'm in the wrong medium. If you have experience coding these characters and stuff like that, and you have an easy way of how you can make something like these specials work, let me know. I'll be labbing it out, experimenting with myself, and if I figure anything out, I'll show you guys in the next episode. But I kind of want to at least start coding before I make too many of the assets, because if it just doesn't feasibly work, then obviously it doesn't work. But the workshop's pretty open, so I'm pretty sure we can make anything work out. I'm not too worried about it. Okay, real quick before you guys leave, I just want to say that my first character, the Masked Man, is going to be out soon. I don't know the exact release date yet, but I'll put it on screen because I should know by the time I'm editing the end of this video. I kind of used him to get my footing on the workshop, you know, kind of see how the code kind of works, just get a general sense of what I'm dealing with. So if you want to, I don't know, I guess these are like my credentials. If you want to see, if you want evidence that I can actually kind of maybe do this possibly, then this is where you want to go. I also just want to get it out a little bit, get some feedback. I don't plan for him to be competitively viable, definitely not legal or anything. He's more for fun, but I did try to keep him relatively fair so you can play with your friends with him and they won't yell at you. So please check him out and let me know what you think. That'll be coming out this date, and I'll upload a trailer on this channel as well on that day. So subscribe and then you'll know when he comes out. Or follow me on Twitter. That works too. Twitter. Anyway. Okay, so what do you think about the acorns? Do you have any questions about how they work? Do you like the new designs? Did you vote? Do you have a better name? Let me know. I want to hear everything. I also want to thank Ahesiah. Look, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, but you and Maxine, y'all gave me some incredible just general rivals tips, and I want to thank you guys for that, because those are the kind of things that I was really looking for, those kind of core rival stuff that I just haven't really figured out yet. So thank you guys so much. I'm taking notes, don't worry, I'm learning. I watched Genesis, like I'm figuring this out. So thank you, keep them coming, you guys are great. That's pretty much all I got, I think, for this episode. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. I'll leave you guys alone now, and I'll see you next week, next month, February 7th, February 9th, 2011, I don't know, sometime in the future, sometime in the present. I love you guys. Bye.